Hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is Joe Way, and I am your host. And we have a good one for you today because I'm out the door after this one. That's it. Done deal. Passing this whole thing over. No more HETMA, no more Hired AV. I'm out. I'm gone. All right, maybe I'm not really. But this is number 5 of 5 in our HETMA Turns 5 series. It's amazing. It's so cute of me to come up with 5 episodes for a 5-year birthday. I mean, isn't that? I mean, that's marketing at its best. I mean, that's just playing the brand to the full extent. So we are here today with 4 of us. If you are watching the video, those of you who are not, there are 4 of us here. We have co-founder BC Hatchett. Please tell people who you are and what you do.
Hey, my name is BC Hatchett. I'm the Associate Director for Classroom Technology at Vanderbilt University, and also the co-founder and board member emerita of the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance, or as we lovingly refer to as HETMA.
Yep. And then next up, I am way too happy right now. This is kind of weird. It's noon, and I'm like acting like I'm on stage or something. It could be the second beer, but we'll see. It's Corona per beer. You know, we should. It's all right. It's all right. All right. So next up, we have the incoming. Let's see. Yeah. So current vice chair, incoming chair. Erin, please introduce yourself. Tell people who you are and what you do.
Yes, Erin Maher-Moran, the IT manager for classroom technology at Johns Hopkins University, the Homewood campus. And I am the Erin apparent, going to be steering this ship post Infocom.
Were those jazz hands we just got?
Jazz hands. Yeah.
Jazz
Spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers and jazz hands. That's the video you come to watch. All right. And next up, current 2-year at large, stepping in as vice chair coming up. Ryan, please tell people who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, hello again, everybody. My name's Ryan Gray, by day, the Director of Technology Engagement and Strategy at Yavapai College in gorgeous northern Arizona, and by evening, HETMA lackey and host of the AV-IT Amplifier podcast found right here on the Hired AV Network.
Wow, actually, there are 4-ish podcasters here because, yes, Ryan, you have the AV-IT Amplifier. Erin, you have
AV Nation's EdTech.
See, all right. See, I had to give you the soundbite. And then Hired AV is going to get turned over to Mr. BC Hatchett coming up in the future. And so you're going to have to be here and embarrass yourself. So the real question is, are you going to keep the, hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is BC Hatchett. Or are you going to have a whole new moniker all of your own?
I haven't decided yet. I might just keep it as, hey, this is Joe Way at the AV Higher Ed.
And boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Yeah.
You know, you could just take me down. I mean, like, that would be the way to take me down, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, people would come up to me going, I can't believe what you said on this show. I'm like, what do you mean what I say? So, yeah. And then I will be kind of going and going back to doing editor-in-chief things of Higher Ed AV to get that going. And again, right? It actually started before HETMA did. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of focused everything over on the HETMA side in order to make sure that the organization was healthy and could move on its own. And then, so I'll step back there and as the operational reins turn over. So I will then. I'm going to start. I'm going to start with you, Erin. So just at least I don't script the show, but I gave you a warning when I was going to ask for the first question. So where what's your vision? What are you thinking to do once I'm booted out the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it's going to be about continuing to build our membership and really strengthen what we've got going already. We had earlier today, we had a board of directors meeting. And one of the things that came up was that we have these great initiatives, but yet a lot of times the people in the circle already aren't the ones that the initiatives are aimed towards. So we really need to kind of make more of a concerted effort to reach beyond our current membership and hit those smaller schools, the middle of nowhere schools, like places that we just don't quite have a reach yet, and really kind of pull them in and bring them into the loving embrace of our higher ed AV community.
Yeah. So in a way, we got to kind of like burst our own bubble, right? Because we do live in this little bubble of ours. And if you think about the people who have found it and came through the PRISM scholarship are ones that are stepping up into leadership roles coming forward. But now, we've expanded the bubble a little bit, but it's still not the same bubble, right? And now how we can keep going out. And that was one of the things we did talk about is we have great, I'm coming to top of mind is, the Aurora grant, the PRISM scholarship, right? Our work and connecting with HBCUs, right? Like we keep having these things that we want to do, but how do we find those people when we aren't those people, right? That's always been kind of our issue, right? So all the manufacturer partners who are listening, you are welcome to email us your contact lists for all of your partners. Tell you what, we will buy you a drink at a bar if you do that. One drink, maybe two.
No.
One. Just one.
I got shot down in a hurry. Jiminy Christmas, BC.
The godfather of HETMA has spoken.
I saw the booth bill for Infocom, and I'm like, hey, now let's.
Wow, look at that! And we were always so proud that the bar tab was our biggest expense, and now BC's like, nope, one per person, and you have to have the stamp, the wristband, and all credentials.
Yeah. And the badge scan. The
badge scan. Yeah. All right, Ryan. Same question to you.
Yeah,
going to step in.
I think coming into a role in vice chair, one of the main things to do is to help the chair put through her vision for what we're going to do and what we're going to be, right? Erin is the chair and is the chair for a reason. So that's that's kind of how I look at the role first off. And I think one of the things that Erin and I have talked about quite a bit, and I think, it's a really interesting time for us is, a wise man once told me that the main thing is to make the main thing the main thing. And it's about the next era of HETMA has to be, how do we stabilize it into something that can survive not just the first handoff of leadership, but the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh, without losing the core sort of character of what it is. And you're kind of the previous episodes have really reminded kind of, HETMA feels like a shoestring sort of enterprise, but it's also kind of the thing that gives it credibility with its members, and why, it's an insurgent campaign a little bit, not a mainstream campaign. I don't think that's exactly how Chris Netto said it, but there's something about the idea that is truly by us and for us that can't get lost in the ability to also solidify and stabilize things so that people can contribute without it taking over their lives, and we can deliver for our members and for our partners all those awesome things that we have underway over a long period of time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It is, and I, I think what Chris said, is we were successful because we didn't follow the rules, right? Yeah, something along those lines, and I think that's really kind of the key of how it even started is, we didn't even know what it was going to be, right? It's how do you even talk about an organization when you're like, yeah, it's this thing. We know it's needed. We don't know what it is, but promise. I mean, imagine if we tried to sell that to like one of our bosses. Yes, I need this much money for this project. I don't really know, but I know it's needed. But trust me on it.
But I'll walk you back on that, which is that one of the reasons it had the relevance it did is it started with a clear sense of why it needed to exist. And from there grew out the how are we going to do it and the what did it actually become. But it started with a clear sense that it was needed and something had to happen, as opposed to it needs to exist for its own purpose. There was a need in the industry and a need of membership, of the people in our vertical for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we did have the why. See, we did something. We had something besides save the date cards. We had something.
Yeah, but if you didn't have the why, it wouldn't have worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do something for the right reason, and you'll find other people that want to come alongside. And this org is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is that, the industry stepping up. And I've said, that one of the things I'm excited about is stepping as a step back, because it's always been, BC and Joe, and they know that we've had our board and all that, but it's like, no, we've always talked about how it has to be able to live beyond that. And I always jump back to it and go, it was just a crazy idea. It only became an org when everybody else bought in and said yes. Mm-hmm. And and I think when BC and I did our recording, the conversation we had was, none of these initiatives were ones that we actually talked about when we were planning this thing. No. All of the successes, we never had that idea. And what's funny, and maybe I think I was talking about it with Daryl on the last episode, was, the one thing that we really talked about was advisory groups. And that's the one we still really have to get kicking off, because all these other things kind of, that was the reason it started. And now that's the one we still really need to build, and we will be building in this next year. So with that being said, I'm going to go, BC, I want to go back to you. And, now there's going to be 3 vice chairs. So technically only 2 chairs, 3 vice chairs. So, it's a little more exclusive on my side, but yours, you let everybody in. So, all right. So, you've been able to watch this. You actually, I think you made the biggest sacrifice to the organization when you said, hey, for us to achieve our goals, and you came up to me and said, I need to step down. And we had Erin step in. So talk now from that side, the importance of kind of that supporting role, the importance of kind of where you see now this new leadership team being able to take the organization.
Yeah, first of all, I just noticed I'm the only one on here without a podcasting mic, so I think I need to figure that out. Everybody else got these fancy mics going on here, but
if you're taking over a podcast,
yeah, you should have.
Might want to think about.
I'm pretty sure that we could. I'm pretty sure the organization can get that, or we have wonderful sponsor partners.
But see, that would go entirely against my whole ethos of like planning, thinking ahead. I'm more of that knee-jerk reaction. No, again, Jay, it was, I guess, a little bit of a sacrifice, but I saw it more as an opportunity, because I really saw that we were reaching an inflection point where the organization was primed and ready to go. And I knew that we had to start building our bench way faster because things were going to start moving way faster for us. And I think it kind of all played out. But it's been extremely rewarding to still be involved with the board. Like, I think, between some of the other initiatives that we've got going on, I think I'm still doing just as much, if not maybe even a little more than I did when I was as vice chair. But I've been able to do it. Nothing. I didn't do anything at all. There's a little more than an ounce of truth there. No, but it's been I've been able to see it from just, I guess, a different lens. Where everybody's still, you guys are still in the trenches doing the granular work. I'm able to see it from around the 50,000 foot view, which I think is awesome, because I kind of get to see the programs as they take shape and how they impact on a more broad level, not just on an individual level. And when I get to look at it from that angle, I can see how large this organization has grown. Now, granted, I know that we still have a pretty close group of active participants, but I'm talking about more of our impact between the initiatives that we do with our sponsor partners, but more specifically like the Prism folks, and seeing how they're continuing to grow in their careers, and also around just the people impact that we have, and how HETMA has not just changed them professionally, but personally, and given them more of a voice and a role in this vertical. That part has been absolutely amazing and completely unanticipated.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I don't like when you give me things I can't follow up on, because you're absolutely, that's all gold right there. That's 100%, because that's exactly it, right? I mean, I loved when you just said like it wasn't necessarily a sacrifice, but an opportunity. And I think that's really the key in this organization is, is that to say, hey, when we do succession planning, and I think it was EFOT too, when we announced this and said, she tweeted out like intentional succession planning, right? She loves that, and it's that putting that on, saying, hey, you know what? There's something bigger than us. The organization is bigger than us, and it has to be, and being, intentional in that way. So I'm excited about what's going to happen kind of coming up. So Erin, I'm going to go back to you. What's the first thing you're going to do on July 1st when I'm no longer in charge?
Change all the locks.
Yeah.
Take a nap. No, I feel like it's not gonna, I'm not going to make any like huge, crazy changes. I want it to be a nice, seamless, like nobody's going to, if nobody knew that we were changing, like nobody would know. Like it's just going to be, maybe a little more organized.
I knew what you were going to say. I knew where you were going.
We're gonna, we've been building the car while we've been speeding down the highway. So maybe we'll slow the car down a little bit. We won't go and pull it fully into a garage and tinker. We're going to still keep moving, but I think we're going to, it's just taking the opportunity to firm up some of our, the things that we've been doing already, and just give the process a chance to do what it needs to do.
And what's interesting too, because of the way the organization falls with our 1-2, you're going to basically have a brand new board too, right? I mean, so it's going to be, lack of a better word, new blood on, right? At least a new form. It's going to be really a change, much more up and down too, which I think is very exciting about the way the organization is going to go. And I think that that's just a huge opportunity as we kind of like move it forward into its next stages. So, and I'll just do a rookie mistake and throw this out to the group, because you know what, I ain't going to have this anymore. So it doesn't matter. I can drop this podcast and bring it down the drain as fast as I want to. So out to the group is, 5 years from now, and even framing it around, Erin's succession. What does it do? What does an org look like? What is the measure of success?
Wow.
You want to go? I'll go.
Go on.
I mean, I think, look, the measure of success 5 years from now, I think, is, does the org have the fingerprints of the people on it who have been giving to it, right? Because if the people who come in, like you said, when you asked the first, I thought July 1st, what am I going to do? Orienting a whole bunch of new board members and chairs into new roles, right? That's going to be what's going on. But if that generation of people's personality imprints on it the way the people on this calls have, and they feel that they are effective and that they belong, then they will continue to invest and then turn it over to the next one. So the long run is, does it maintain the core of the values that it started with, and then allow people's fingerprints to come on? So that may mean there's initiatives happening today that aren't happening 5 years from now, because we're willing to say, that's okay, that wasn't needed, or it didn't have traction, but there's something new that's come to take its place. And that idea, like, it's also sort of bad, but if 5 years from now, you know what I'm saying? And I only say this, Joe, because I know you would co-sign it, is if 5 years from now, if the mention of HETMA in an email doesn't come with a reply, like I've been friends with Joe for years, but oh yeah, I've been working with HETMA for years, that's one of the other ways we'll know, which is kind of that the personality of the org outdistances any one individual.
Yep. And we did get that email comment today in one email, did we?
Yeah, but my reply is always, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I'm sure I can, steer you in a better direction for the future."
But I definitely agree with it. Yeah. So, and next with that, continuing on, everyone wanted to comment.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been, as much as I am such a big fan of data and having all of the data points and whatnot, the whole like measuring success against like KPIs and stuff like that, I just, no, all the no, can't do it. So yeah, I think for me, like, I think a measure of feeling like, we'll be successful is going to be that I can walk away from HETMA and know that it's going to be in good hands, and that, we did all the things, and we did it right.
If you can't, then we blame you for ruining the organization. We left it. No pressure though. No pressure though. Hey, you've got the support of everyone behind you. You do. BC, what's your measure of success 5 years from now? I know we chatted about it a little bit on ours, but now having sat through 4 other.
I still think the measure of success, kind of like what Ron was saying, is to kind of see how this thing evolves and how each individual that participates influences it. I know we've all talked in the past how the AV industry is not exactly the most change-friendly vertical that there is in the world. But I think HETMA is an outlier in that because, like Erin said, sometimes the car was getting built while it was on the road. But that was us responding to challenges and needs that were thrown at us from our membership. We saw that there was an issue, and it was something that the organization could tackle and try to provide remedy for. And in a lot of cases, we've had a good amount of success. I think HETMA is here for the long haul without a doubt, but I want to see this group continue to change and evolve and respond to the needs of our vertical without getting siloed in. Well, we've always done it this way, and with the leadership core that we have. I don't think we're going to run into that. I mean, you guys are transformational individuals. You guys are not just going to let it. Well, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way Joe always did it. That's the way BC always did it. No, it's got to be the way that you all do it. And I have no doubt that this group is going to do that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that is really kind of the key, that it takes on its own identity, right? It takes on the identity of what's needed at that time, because that has been the strength, as I even led with. All the initiatives that exist are ones that came because someone spoke out and said there's a need for this for our vertical, and then there it is. And it's interesting, if I look back and I want to, let me answer the question that you didn't ask me, but I'll ask it to myself. Where is it 5 years? So as I've done a lot of self-reflection over the last few months, really, ever since we knew that this was going to happen. And to be honest, it's going to be hard for me. Like, it'll be weird. It will be weird. Okay.
Yeah, it will.
And, but it's like, okay, did it achieve everything that I said? Like, what was it I wanted to do? What are the different things? It did all but one. There's only one initiative, one thing that it did not achieve while I was chair. So this is what I'm going to challenge you with. Let me buy direct.
Yeah.
Was the one area we haven't had. We had conversations about being a buying group. We've talked to certain distributors about setting up that kind of had conversations that went nowhere. And it's like, oh, so, okay, maybe I need to be a chair. No, but I can't take control. I got to let this thing happen on its own. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So it's interesting. It's like, that's the one area. It's like, hey, but maybe it didn't get there because we don't have that. I don't want to say, lack of better word, power yet, because as one of the things we've always said, what's interesting about this organization is most organizations start grassroots. In other words, they start small, and their biggest issue is getting people to notice them. Mm-hmm. Well, we're the most known from the who's who in the AV industry. From the top level, the people who don't know about us are our random colleagues at the school next door. right? It's usually the other way around for an organization, right? And so it's interesting that maybe we didn't get that because we need the volume on the bottom to justify the going direct at the top. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. And I have no idea why that's a conversation of this episode, but it is.
Well, it is. And I think like there's also, in the industry, there's going to be a question of like, are you serious? Are you for real? Do you have staying power, right? We're not going to upend a business model, you know what I'm saying? Just to have it blow back up in our face. There has to be some longevity to it. So I think that is #buy direct is definitely something that would benefit a lot of schools, but it is absolutely, I think, of the things that you started to lay out, the most, I said insurgent, the most subversive one. And I'm not surprised that is one that, has been the most difficult. But as long as you're up for, helping us out, you're not leaving, you know what I'm saying? This is HETMA, so whoever has the idea is the one we turn loose to get it done. So you, Joe, are so empowered to take on that project and let us know what the results are.
But I think you actually nailed it, though, right? Is why would the industry change if there's just this random people come up and say it, right? But the fact that we have taken this on, the fact that we are a $7 million organization, right? That is our valuation today. That's just crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And so to think that we're the biggest, the most, cash forward, all of that business of all of the organizations, I think that is the thing that makes us have that ability, that the industry has gone behind it. And yeah, that was kind of a humble brag I just did. I did that well, didn't I? It was kind of cool. But it's true. Right. And so I think that's one of the things that really now we're set up for success to kind of move forward. And that was also how I knew it was time to step down. Like I also wouldn't step down if I thought it was going to die when I did. Right. I also knew we had to have the organization be to a point like, no, it's going to actually do better things than I can do. And that was kind of the key.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about, we're still having some growing pains about reaching some of the pockets in the higher ed that we don't have a lot of visibility into. And I know that's something we need to continue to work on, but I think that it's okay because we wouldn't be in a position where we could do that if we didn't have a solid foundation and we did not have, a strong base to work off of. And I think that's what these past 5 years has been building that strong base to be able to launch further out.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just neat. I get giddy every time. Well, yeah, unless Ryan, I'll tell this thing. And then there's one exception to it. Every time I see, get the notification hell about new members, except for Ryan sends me like 30 at one time in a minute and a half.
Baha, baha.
It's a good problem to have.
But on that front, I would say, that was at a roadshow. That was at a regional event. And that is something that has grown up truly in the past year to address the very thing we're talking about, which is how do we find and get attention and get ourselves in front of people who aren't finding us through the ways that current people are finding us. And we knew we needed to go where they were. We've got to start showing up in person where people can gather and come find us. And so there are already things in play, like people, when the why is right, people will come to the right ideas and work together to make them happen. So we'll continue to go down that road and build those things. And when we run into something that doesn't work, we'll let that one go and we'll come up with the next idea. Assign it to Joe and expect results.
You were good up until the results.
All right.
No, you'll get results. They just won't necessarily be organized, and you won't know how to operationalize it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it will happen.
Right.
It will. I will. But it's interesting. You said something today about getting the road shows, and I think this is one of the strengths of the organizations, and where we're kind of backwardsing our grassrootsness, right? And I think there's huge opportunity. I got an email today from someone saying, hey, besides, InfoComm, what shows are you all at? Because I think I'm like, probably an easier thing to say, which ones are we not at? because we do have a presence at every one of them and we support every one of them. And we, from a booth to a tabletop to a full booth, it's like, and then I was like, okay, well, the other ones we're not at, let's see, well, we're not doing NAB, but that's just, it's not like we can't, we just haven't yet, right? So I guess we'll do that one, and we haven't, it's like, I guess we're going to be everywhere. We just need to figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of the organization, right? Is getting out in front of every single, every single opportunity that we can to partner with our industry, right? To show that we are partners with them. And I think that's, and I'll throw that out to the group too. We've spent this time talking so far about the membership and our hired members because it is important, right? That's who we are. But last episode was about partner. Like, we also couldn't do this without the industry's support, right? We were founded on being a direct, a direct connection straight into our manufacturer partners. That's how this started, right? Started off the Panasonic trip and be able to have that one-on-one conversations with the engineers to help drive product. And we've built on that, you can't have an organization that you don't charge, that you give for free to your members without actually having sponsors, right? It's got, the thing has to pay for, in some form. So talk about that. Talk about how you have felt and how you've seen the industry, accept HETMA, partner in with it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think a lot of them recognize the value of being involved in a group like us. And I think that's only going to increase as we continue to demonstrate, that it really is a partnership. Like, we are here not only to benefit our members, but we also want to help the greater AV industry with helping improve products, improve customer relations, those sorts of things. And, I think as we start to organize ourselves a bit more in how we handle our partnerships and work on our communication, it's only going to get better. And I think we've seen what it can do already, in that our members are getting seen by more and more reps. More and more companies are creating vertical specific reps that are going out and visiting their campuses and stuff. And it's only going to increase from here.
Yeah. I think one of the big things is sort of the paradigm of HETMA, coming from the business side angle, right? To say, step one is we need a seat at the table, right? As end users or whatever, like, higher ed needs a seat at the table, but at the same time, we acknowledge that comes with just as much responsibility as it does privilege or anything like that, right? Like, the paradigm of, because otherwise we're just consumers. We're just consumers buying things. We're just the people at the end of the line. And what we're saying is, we are just as dependent upon the rest of the AV industry to deliver great, awesome technology for us to serve our students with, as they are on us to buy it when they make it. And that it's a symbiotic relationship, and that we serve our members and our members serve their students better when we can fully occupy that space in the industry. So if it's manufacturers, integrators, end users, that we are occupying that space with a true business sense, not just a consumer sense.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that they recognize about us, is that we do come in and I've always said too, because people always ask, what's the difference between HETMA and all the other, this organization? And that's kind of, okay, yeah, we're an advocacy organization, which is how we're founded. That is a differentiator. But as I would say, we are kind of the business arm of the higher ed vertical, right? That's where we jump in to advocate for that bit of it. And it's funny because we used to always talk about, I won't give the person's name out because I haven't gotten permission to do so, but I've always kind of said the random, we want to be able to bring all the same perks to the random schools in the middle of nowhere, et cetera, et cetera. And I got an email from one who said they wanted to thank me for HETMA because one of the area reps who normally stops at a big city said, hey, I've seen you active. I know you're 3 hours out of XYZ location, but if possible, I want to, can you know where I could stay at night? I can drive out there. I'd love to come and talk to you. It was like, oh, and they were so surprised that a rep from a major company was willing to add a day onto their trip to come see them, where it was going to be an extra 3-hour drive. And it's like, wow, that's, and it's one of those things that we've said, 200 rooms is 200 rooms, right? It's still the same amount of money, right? Whether it goes to a top name school or somewhere in the middle of nowhere, right? And yes, it's hard to justify your bosses, but I thought that's the kind of advocacy that we want to reach for. That shows that we're being taken serious, and that person has stepped into a role, and become vocal with HETMA to say, hey, I have value too. Why don't you come to me, right? And you've seen that.
I think that was like almost legitimately one of the scenarios that we envisioned when we first set this out was getting recognition for those smaller schools. Because I mean, we both, Joe and I both come from large R1s. So getting reps to come knock on our door is not hard to do.
And I think what we've heard from our partners, I mean, I get this all the time, which is we know how to find the big R1s and everyone else is knocking on their door. But we want to knock on the doors that we don't know about. We want to go get connected with all those small schools. Like you said, 200 rooms is 200 rooms, whether they're all on one campus or that's 10 rooms split across 20 campuses. You know what I'm saying? That works. And HETMA, one of the founding things about it, one of the 100% every day, every meeting lives in it, is it does not matter the size or the spend of the institution you come from, right? Otherwise, there's no reason people should know who Yavapai Pi College is across this industry. And I guarantee if I want them to do like the big mass poll, and it would show 100% Yavapai Pi College is most known in the pro AV industry, hands down, for no other reason, right, than HETMA. But that same thing exists. We have leaders and representatives and people from schools of all sizes, and that is a value that you guys built into the organization from the beginning, and it is active in everything that we do. And that's one of the reasons that those benefits have come, because our partners, our sponsors, they want that connection, and our job and the people in those schools want that connection. And because it's free and always will be, and people are members, not institutions, there's no dues. For the first time, there's an org that's actually situated to make those business connections that some of the other ones or associated ones in technology aren't set up to do.
No, absolutely.
And I was just, I was kind of, we know we have elections coming up, and I was kind of looking over the nominations, and I was kind of, just blown away at the folks that have been nominated. I'm not going to, name any names or anything like that, but just like you were talking about, Ryan, just looking at the institutions that they're from. It's not the big R1s and the name brands out there. It's, it's the folks that are, they're at the smaller universities and the community colleges, and they're out there grinding day in, day out, making it happen. And I think that's just one of my favorite things about the organization, is that it doesn't matter the size of your school or the size of your institution or where you come from. Your input is just as valuable as everybody else's.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess as we start to kind of thinking about landing this plane, I guess the real important question: what are you going to miss most about me being? Just kidding. I'll tell you the one thing I had one not really asking that, but I will tell you. I kind of
Joe,
reflect.
Can I throw an answer at you on that?
Oh hell, okay.
No. So here's the thing. Let's be honest about it, right? With Joe, the founder, as the chair, there's always been kind of that. There's a relief valve. We're not exactly sure what to do. Joe will have an idea. Joe will, you know what I'm saying? What's one of the things that we missed? The future success of HETMA means that it has to belong to everybody in there. There is an ease to going, Joe will help us figure this out, or Joe will step in and do that. But you know what I'm saying? If it's going to outlive you and it's going to outlive me, we have to let that part go. But yeah, I will miss, it is hard to, sometimes these questions come up, and Erin and I are going to have to be in that place of, last year we might have texted Joe on this one, but right now we just need to, you know what I'm saying, give advice, make a decision, give direction, and go. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Papa Bear. You know what I'm saying? It'll be sad, man.
Wait, so he got Godfather and I got Papa
I
Bear?
won.
Actually,
I
that's
won the
not
nickname
bad.
contest.
We should do that. We should do that.
I
Good
still,
old Papa Bear.
Statler and Waldorf is still the best.
Yeah.
We were mocking from
Statler and Waldorf I like. And yeah, the other part about it, Joe, and it goes to the succession planning, is doing this before you want to be involved. You want to be here. You want to be an asset. You want to be a resource. So I look at, the whole org is gaining by taking this thing slow and having a rolling move to it. You say, we slow roll it, but there is vision to this, and it's setting the future up for success the way you're handling it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And I'll say the one thing that I actually will miss, and you both can get you'll enjoy this. This is probably the reason that it's hardest to step down, is the miscellaneous emails and comments and texts and just DMs on our back end community from people who just say that their lives were changed because of the organization. And I know that will stop as time goes on, right? As we go through the next year, 2 years, when you go through 3 sets of elections and things start, right? I know that will end up changing, right? And for good, because you both are going to start getting them. And you'll get those messages. And let me tell you, that's what makes me realize every day, keep doing it, because it does matter and it has impacted lives. And it often comes in, random ways that you never see, and people that I don't even know. Right. And, it's like, and I didn't even know they're active on the HETMA community. And I'll look them up and be like, okay, I didn't recognize them, but they just sent me a message somewhat and saying, thank you. I had, I heard something that you all did, and I had the guts to go apply for this job and I got it. Or I had the, or as little as I heard you say, we need to stand up for ourselves, and justify that we deserve staffing or money. Like, I did it and it worked. So thank you. And I don't even know the person. Right. And it was like, wow, this has a far deep, further impact than we ever know. And to think that I know that not every person reaches out who was impacted, right? It's a small percentage. And so that's the thing that I'm going to miss, not just because my ego does love comments like that. But again, it's that knowledge of, hey, we're doing something that matters, right? And it's going to be hard stepping back. I'm not going to lie. But I have so much confidence in the direction this is going to go. And I can't wait to see what you all do with it. And to really be able to say, hey, this wasn't me. This was them. This was them. This is them. And you have your own, pedestal to stand on and ownership of it. And that you take ownership is what I can't wait for. But listeners, if you ever just randomly years from now want to send me an email saying how this industry or this organization impacted you can still do that. You can find me at Josiah Way on all the socials, and you can message me there. So besides that, though, all right, we're going to do a last question all the way around. I didn't have one prepped. I don't prep. Okay, I got into my own little thing, and so now I'm speaking until I can think of a question. We've all been all right. So how about this? We're coming up on Infocom.
Okay.
That's our big thing. We've all been to ISC, right? And can you believe, by the way, they're going to finish construction on that? That's crazy. That's crazy. I know, that's crazy. So I've already been told I can't do big initiative. What's our next big thing? What is the next big thing? Can we beat ISE? Can we beat Infocom? Can we beat creating the Higher Ed AV Awards? What is it? What is that thing where you're going to go, boom, we're blowing up the world? Throwing that out there.
Right. Full on global takeover.
Global takeover.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two, like the next big thing is going to, like, two things on that. One, probably the idea for the next big thing, it may not be on this call, and that's okay, right? That idea is out there percolating, and if you're listening and you've got it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, let us know and do it. But I think, and it may not seem exciting, but to me, the next big thing is making sure the big things we are doing are known by a really big audience. And that kind of, that we've sort of touched on it there, which is broadening that base and the engagement of, growing those people who are involved in a regular basis, because that's where, those next big things become real big. And then the other part of it is where some of the things that are big can continue to get bigger is, then the more people involved, the things we're doing are big enough that no one person can do them all, right? Yeah. You can't be at all the places we're supposed to be and do the things we need to do. So our ability to grow comes from really getting, everyone in the org in the right place so that they can take stuff and run with it.
Yeah, 100%. I like that.
Also, maybe pickleball, court.
Pickleball court. Well, we're doing a soccer field.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But pickleball court. It could be,
pickleball court was the other one. You're right.
Yeah,
it's
that was
the soccer.
EduCause got that one.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to give you two answers. So the first one is I'm really excited about our HETMA certified expert. I think that has huge opportunities. It's still very early. So I think that is it. Also, another thing that we've been toying with that we just need that last bit is our connections with like the CIO groups like RTM. We've had inputs ins with Wall Street Journal, United Nations, a lot of the top organizations that have global reach. I think we are just a flip of a switch to where we are top level partners with a lot of these major organizations and news organizations that could take us to a completely different level. And I think that will, I think it's just a matter of time, not if it's about a win. And all those have kind of happened organically. So, and that just shows how we're viewed outside. So that is that. We are coming up on the top of the hour where we have to jump to another planning meeting. We have a planning, but I guess, we can be late for our own planning meeting. So with that being said, let's start. I'll start with BC. Please tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can find me at BC Hatchett on Twitter or X or whatever it is we're calling it these days. And also find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Ryan, please tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. Same, very findable on LinkedIn. So find me there. Twitter at Ryan_A_Gray. And as always, you can email me, Ryan@higheredav.com.
Awesome. And Erin, please tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to give a very heartfelt thank you to BC and Joe for having the faith in me and Ryan to, take this organization to its next logical place. And I really appreciate that. And for me, you can find me on the HETMA community, on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter at Smearin_ice, somewhere down there. And you can also find me monthly on AV Nation's EdTech podcast.
Yeah, don't you make me cry and stuff and get all sappy and all that before the end of the show. That's not how this works. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This concludes part 5 of the 5-part HETMA Turns 5 series. We're going to be back with regular programming next week. Once I figured out who that is that I'm interviewing and I actually record it and then it goes. But you know what? We're recording this a week ahead of time. I got 2 weeks to figure it out. So, hey, everybody, hopefully you enjoyed this. And as always, all the opinions expressed here are necessarily those of our respective institutions, any sponsors of this show or companies that could sue us. And so besides that, if you did not, I can't even say my own, I should give up this show. I think this is it. I think I'm done. I really think that that's it. I'm out. Peace out. Bye, everybody.